Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are, in whichever realms of existence you are, whatever mind states you're in, whatever conditions you're in, you are most certainly and always welcome to my channel. Welcome to Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, and welcome to the ocean of the vow. Immerse yourself in the Dharma. So, I'm going to try something different today. Is do a video while I'm running. It probably will just be audio when I upload this. But anyway, so if you're wondering why I'm out of breath, that will be the reason why I'm out of breath. Anyways, so what I wanted to talk about today was just some things that tend to keep life in perspective for me as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist. And why it makes a difference. Why it makes such a difference to my life. When sort of compared with other people who don't come from a Buddhist perspective or a Jodo Shinshu perspective. One of the things, I think one of the major things, is as a Buddhist, we don't look at life in the same way as other people might, who come from a kind of standpoint of life being sort of just one. They have their one lifetime. They just have their one lifetime. That is what is important or essential to them in various ways. But they just have that one lifetime. They don't have, whether it's someone who comes from a more secular or atheistic perspective, or humanistic perspective, meaning they don't really believe in any kind of life beyond this, or any realms or worlds beyond the naturalistic universe, as it were. So whether they're from that perspective or from a perspective of where they might have beliefs in spirituality, they have religious belief in, I suppose, in a more theistic sense, but it's, where they just think, well, this one life is it, this is, they get, they're born their one life, and when they die, they just go to heaven or, whatever realm or paradise or whatever it is. But it's just this one life that they have, and then eternity, I suppose, in their perspective. But it's still just this one physical life that they have, as it were. And then you have people who maybe don't think about it at all. They don't really think about whether they're atheists or not, or any kind of spiritual belief. They don't really think about it. They just live their life, and that's it. This is their life. This life, one life. Their family. This existence. Their job. Their pursuits. That's it. That's what they think about. They don't really think of it beyond that. And so, So, which I would say is probably the majority of people on the planet fall into one of those kind of three areas or categories. There's some people who have sort of Hindu beliefs or Western kind of pagan beliefs who will have the perspective of multiple lifetimes and other realms of existence, so in a variety, but so we're going to probably have a different perspective from them in other senses. So that might be a whole other video for that one. But for this one, I'm going to stick to just in general, for whatever the reason is, for wherever someone's coming at. The person that just focuses on this life is basically all you get, and that's their perspective, as far as this physical life. And so this is, it's, super important to them that it's the best that it can be. I have some huge differences in my outlook from people that come from that perspective. As a Buddhist, as a Hindu Buddhist, first of all, we know this life isn't the only rebirth that we've had. We've had countless, incalculable, past existences, past provisional existences in all kinds of different realms, not just human. It's been very rarely human, in fact, which we'll come back to that. Well, that's another big, huge difference I'd say from our perspective, but or has a lot to do with our perspective, is the rareness and preciousness of human birth. But so, yeah, that's the first thing. And we know that unless we become enlightened, if I'm an extraordinary being, then, not if I am, but if someone is an extraordinary being, then, they can either, then they can attain enlightenment through the self-power path, or path of sages, or the other power path. And for those of us ordinary foolish beings, bamboo, we know we only have the other power path toward enlightenment, toward Buddhahood. And so we know that if we don't take so in the case of someone who's bamboo and relies solely on Amida and comes to Setful Shinjin, we know that then this is our last existence in samsaric existence, in the way we've experienced it so far for countless rebirths. We know that, but we still had all those. And we know also that we're not just going to be going to Pure Land, and then that's it. We know that Pure Land, we're going to be doing, it's a very active thing when we get to Pure Land, and, and become a Buddha immediately when we are I suppose, you always say born there, but you're not really born. It's, you're kind of relieved of any birth. Not, it's non-birth there. It's you just become a Buddha. You can just naturally, because birth and death are a part of the samsaric realm, not the Pure Land is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, we'll just use the vernacular. When we're born there, immediately become a Buddha. We know that we're coming back immediately in multiple forms to save other beings and bring them to Pure Land, and to help them get, rely on Amida. So there isn't, what's the word I'm trying to say? We are going to have other experiences after this life is, if we have Central Shinjin and we die and are born in Pure Land as a Buddha, immediately we know that we're going to continue to have experiences, albeit quite different than samsaric experience, but as a Buddha, coming back to these realms to save other beings is very active. And that gives a whole nother different perspective on things. Whole different perspective on life now. I just think right off the bat right there is when we come back, we are what's the word I'm looking for here? Oh yeah, so the first people we're going to be helping, and through skillful means, through upaya of the countless nirmanakaya and forms that we take as Buddha or Bodhisattvas, is the first thing we're gonna help is people we have strong karmic ties to. So right there, that changes my perspective on people in my life, or both currently and in the past, whether I loved them or hated them, whether they supported me or abused me, whether they were kind or unkind, whether they were whether they are family or not, whether they're friends or not. If I had some kind of close karmic tie with them, I'm coming back to help them. And that includes the people that I really don't have haven't had a good experience with, or have a very negative outlook on, or actually hate, or whatever it is. I don't really feel that too much anymore in my life as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist. I think Hamida's working has and this isn't anything I've sought or asked for or tried to look for, but just being in the working of Amida, I think, in this different perspective I'm talking about, I don't have the same level of hatred of people I've had previously hated, or anger toward people I had, level of anger had toward people I previously had huge amounts of anger toward, or loathing towards certain people that I previously had huge amounts of loathing for. I just don't have that anymore. It's just not part of my, I'm not saying I don't have my moments, and I get, where a lot of anger is summoned, comes up within me about certain people, certain situations in the past or present. I'm not saying that at all, but it's a very different thing than prior. I would say very different thing than prior to my Jodo Shinshu experience, my path in Jodo Shinshu, and probably different even if I look back, even before I was a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, when I was just in general and exploring Buddhism in general, from sort of the late 80s onward, there probably was some kind of a shifting of my experience in that regard. Even if it was just incrementally a little bit, it still was different, because once you are a Buddhist, just the idea of karma, just the belief, the teaching, the acceptance of karma as, as the basis of your samsaric existence, you kind of take responsibility more than you would if you didn't have that perspective. You begin to say, well, certain things may have been wrong for certain things to happen to me, or was unjust, or really horrible things or traumatic things that happened to me outside my control, or that I didn't bring on even, even those things, you begin to see a different perspective on. You see, well, actually, perhaps with an ordinary, everyday sense of justice, things might be unjust or wrong or traumatic that happened to me, but ultimately, karmically speaking, they are just. Karmically speaking, they are exactly what was called for by my karma. They're exactly what my karma, the way my karma, the causes and conditions ripened in this rebirth, is the way it should have happened and would have happened. That's samsara. That's just the way it is in samsara. And so even with a little bit of that perspective, you start to kind of your anger about certain things.
Sorry,
that's okay. No worries. No worries. It's okay. So that's the bit of the animal realm. Coming in to voice their concerns, as it were. Anyway, or the protectiveness of their humans, which is fine, which is good. That's what they're supposed to be doing. Anyway, so and so even if you have a little bit of that perspective, it changes how you look at things. It changes how your level of anger, even if it's on an unconscious level, let's say. But particularly once I got to Joshinshu, it became a more conscious thing, I would say, because of Amita's light involved. Amita's light was involved, illuminating things for me through his working, through his light, through his vow. It shone the light on things so I could see it more clearly, I suppose, within my own, the limitations of my own karmic causes and conditions, etc. But anyway, so that has been a big change. Just that perspective alone, the countless past existences, and the countless lifetimes I've had, just that alone, that is a different perspective, because you don't necessarily put as much weight in this one lifetime anymore, and also from the perspective of Kyoroshinshu and other power, you don't really put much, and realizing more and more that how foolish a being you are, and the level of your spiritual karmic evil, and your complete inability to do anything about that, all being because of being shown on by the light of Amida. That also changes your perspective. That you relax, and you're like, well, there's only so much I can do. First of all, my karmic destiny that's a moot point. I can't do anything about that myself, being full of the kleshas, blind passions, and the level of my deep ignorance, and just the nature of that. There's just nothing. I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do toward my karmic destiny as far as becoming a Buddha. There's no chance. Nothing. So that you start to relax that perspective. You're just like, well, and this all goes together with the perspective of the nature of existence being suffering, deep dukkha, as we say, this perspective of dukkha, that life, our very existence is an active suffering. It's an active, dynamic, deep suffering. And so if you start from there, if that's your starting point, it might sound fatalistic, but I don't think it is. I think it's just realistic. I think there's a kind of, just when you really accept that, and through the light of Amida really start to see that, that changes your perspective, because it changes all your expectations and all your hopes and dreams and ideas. It just lowers all of that. It just levels kind of that. Puts it all in perspective. Because we start from that point. That's our starting point as Buddhists. Life is suffering. It's the birth, rebirth, birth, sickness, old age, and death, and rebirth. Again, that's the norm. And the 8 kinds of suffering. That's the norm. That's not the sometimes it's going to be that way. That's the nature of this existence. Is death and rebirth and all the 8 sufferings and all of that. So we're not looking for that, so other people are always chasing this. Well, how can I be happy? What am I going to do to be happy? How can I have the best relationship? Find the best woman or the best man? What can fulfill me? What's going to be fulfilling in this life? Well, we look at samsara for what it is, so we know there's nothing that can bring happiness or fulfill for any kind of true happiness, freedom, or fulfillment. None of that can come out of samsara. Samsaric existence, just by its very nature, is unsatisfactory. It's just on a deep level, in a very deep, painfully true way. So there's not, so when you really, kind of know that, when that's really a part of your perspective, all your expectations are lowered, all of your, you kind of come to a place of, like the narrator said in, the narrator / Jack in Fight Club, where he says, I lost all hope. Losing all hope was freedom. There's something very true in that. There's something that kind of rings true. Although we do have hope. I lost all hope, so I lost all hope in samsaric happiness. I'll put it that way. I lost all hope in samsaric happiness. Losing all hope in any satisfaction in samsaric existence was freedom. And that was through the light of Amida. Really seeing that through, really seeing the truth and experiencing the truth of that was I would have never been able to get to that perspective myself. Believe me, I tried prior to Jodo Shinshu, prior to Pure Land Buddhism, prior to Jodo Shinshu. I did try, and just utterly failed. Could never keep that perspective, or never even conceive of that perspective, let alone try to cultivate it. But I did try in whatever colossal way I didn't really understand it. Anyway, so that's just that one thing. Just that alone changes my whole outlook and perspective on everything. My life, my marriage, job, family, past, present, future. It just, that changes it. Combination of all the things I've said so far. If you take just one of those things I've said so far, that changes your perspective. But you just put them all together and cumulatively, and the things I haven't talked about yet, just utterly change your perspective and your outlook on all this stuff. So it's pretty good. I just written down that. Thank you. So I probably should have gone the other way. Anyways, maybe I will go back the other way. Sorry, please come through. I just realized I was going the wrong way. Sorry about that. So anyway, all of those things really changed my perspective. And as a Buddhist, as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist in particular. So, there's so much like, and then if you add to that, so we don't just have that problem. I mean, a lot of people get to that level in life in some other way. A lot of people get to that point in life through, maybe they don't see it in Buddhist terminology and Buddhist terms, but they get to some facsimile of that, like, I don't know, someone who's a philosophical pessimist or a nihilist or an absurdist or an existentialist. They get some facsimile of that perspective, and they really experience that. They really go, or someone who's just had a really shit life because of their karmic causes and conditions, had really shit life, and just see it, and just they see the reality of it. I know people like that. To a certain extent, that's part of my life. I've had some really bad shit happen over my lifetime and on a daily basis, just with how my mind is and things, and my experience of life is, and that's part of my perspective too. I came to that on my own as well as through Buddhism. But anyway, so the people that get to that perspective, some facsimile of the true nature of this life, even though they don't have the Buddhist teaching and they can't really see it for its full nature, I suppose, without the light of Amida, but they see it and they have no solution. They have no solution. They have no, they get to those philosophies, or they get to that perspective or that experience, and there's nowhere to go with it other than, F it, or drink, or do drugs, or whatever they do to escape it. Or they, try to solve it philosophically to no avail whatsoever. Never happened. Unless they're like a Buddha or Bodhisattva in disguise, an extraordinary being in disguise, they never come to a solution. And as Buddhists, we get to that perspective. We get to the samsaric perspective of, the nature of the deep, active, dynamic nature of the suffering and unsatisfactoriness of samsaric existence in the cycle of death and rebirth. But we have a solution. We know that what's the solution is the cessation of craving, the cessation of desire, the cessation of all of that, and along with that, cessation of ignorance, cessation of, because in order to, the rest of it has to go, the cessation of attachment or aversion, the cessation of all of that stuff, and sorry, there's a lot of traffic on the path today, so Anyway, so yeah, so it's a nice sunny day, so it's no wonder everyone's out. They should be out. It's a lovely, beautiful day. Anyway, and I kind of live here in a pretty nice area for walking and running, so I'm not surprised and very happy to see people out enjoying it. But anyway, so such as it is, such as these moments are in samsaric existence. Anyway, so we know we have the solution is the cessation of our attachment and aversion, our craving, our desire, which also means the cessation of our ignorance, because that's the cause of all the cause of all our karma and everything else is not seeing, experiencing, knowing life, knowing reality as it actually is, or something along those lines. But anyway, so we know that, and as Jodo Shinju Buddhists, we know that Amida has solved that for us. Amida has given us a path. Well, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. So anyway, so we have a solution. We have the possibility that those desires and those aversions and those attractions and cravings and ignorance can end. We have a I did jump ahead already. The cause, we know the cause. We know the cause is our desires. The cause is our ignorance, our desires, our attachments, our aversions, our ignorance, etc. Craving. That's the cause of the suffering. It's the cause of the experience of samsara as it is, in all its unsatisfactory suffering. And then we know. So then after that, so let's go with that. Just knowing the cause. But that's different from most other people. Don't ever come to that point. They never see that their egoic, deluded, ignorant mind is what is causing them to have the experience. I'm not going to go that way. Too muddy. Thought it might be dried up a bit by now, but it's not on this path, so I'm going to go back. But yeah, I came for a bit. Anyway, so other people who are not Buddhists won't have that perspective. Some of them might have an idea that egoic, there are some psychology schools out there and different philosophical schools and even other religions that talk about the ego. So I think some of them have an idea, but it's not a central aspect of, even if people are aware of that, it's not a central aspect of life, and they don't have the Buddhist teachings to explain it and flesh it out and show how that, and demonstrate how that is our egoic, deluded, ignorant mind causes us to crave, causes us to have these desires and aversions, and then beyond that, it also, part of the problem, we know, the cause we know is beyond that is karma, is the working of karma, and the 5 aggregates and the 12 nidanas and all of that. Like, we have all of that. Might not completely understand it as samsaric, egoic, bamboo, foolish, ordinary beings, but at least we have it to some extent. Other people are not going to have that perspective, that kind of light shown on things. They just aren't. It's just not going to be part of their life for the most part. So, we have that as well. So we have just knowing, like, okay, like most people run bewilderment thinking, well, without the Buddhist perspective, people generally run around going like, well, if I just get this better job, or if I get a better wife, or a better husband, or a better relationship, or, or if I do this kind of creative activity, or open this business, or, or fulfill this dream of some kind, then I'll be happy. Or if I just get enough wellness in my life. Now, there's nothing wrong with wellness and well-being practices or things to help you with your mental health or anything like that. But if that's all you have, and you're still, it's like putting a bandage. It's like putting a Band-Aid. All that stuff without a Buddhist perspective is like putting a Band-Aid on a main artery laceration. Those ones where in your leg, where if you cut it, that's within minutes you're gonna be dead. It's like ridiculous. Like one of those, putting a Band-Aid on that. Those kind of wellness, mental health practices, to some extent, not always. I mean, I'm not taking away from that. There's a benefit to it, but anyway, without the Buddhist perspective, all you're looking for is things within this life to try to fulfill you, within this samsaric existence that are never going to fulfill you, never going to. And you're just going from one to the other. It's like, it's like switching seats on the Titanic. There's just nothing here. They're trying to make samsara not be samsara, using samsara to do it, using samsaric tools and samsaric manifestations and samsaric ideas and deluded minds to do it. So like that alone, not knowing that it's the egoic, the problem is your ego is that is fake and false and completely I thought there was a way to go through that field. Maybe they've changed that. Anyway, okay, go back the way I came again. It's been a while since I took this path. Anyways, so just having our perspective that, oh yeah, that makes sense, and just having the Buddhist teaching to guide us, and then add to that once Amita's light is illuminating that to a point where you can see it, you have a different perspective. You're just more apt to relax about it a bit and just go, okay, along with all the other things I just talked about, because we can relax about it because we know Amita is going to be sourcing it out for us. We know Amita is Amita's already done all the work. So I'm going to get to that in a minute, but Amita's already done the Eightfold Path for us, so that he can transfer all that merit from 5 kalpas of practices to us. Anyway, so there's that, and then we know, that there's cessation. People in this life don't know that all their desires and not unfulfilled desires and temporary filled desires and chasing this and that, and always chasing happiness or chasing that good relationship or chasing whatever, they don't know, like, that the solution is that could end. The solution is that could end, and they wouldn't have to be chasing around all these desires and needs and wants and hatreds and trying to avoid people, and the opposite of of attraction, aversions, these hatred of people, or trying to avoid people, or always having problems with difficult people. All that can end. That can end. And they just think, oh, we just have to find a better way to deal with it. Which there's something to be said for that. I'm not saying you shouldn't try to, pragmatic, practical, healthy way, try to live a better life and try to, live things in a better way and handle those situations in a better way. But as Buddhists, we know, oh, okay, that can end. We really know there's an end to it. It's not this endless thing, from lifetime to lifetime that we're going to have to keep enduring, and especially as Jodashinju Buddhists, we know we don't have to, have this arduous long road of countless further rebirths to walk the sage path and keep falling backwards on it, making 2 steps forward, 10,000 kotis of limitless steps backwards. We just don't have the illusion that somehow we can attain Buddhism, Buddhahood ourselves through our own self-power in this life. So we can relax about that, but we can also relax about there's not going to be this endless lifetime of trying to seek enlightenment or attain enlightenment through the sage path. That won't be there either. So anyway, there's just so many ways that it just changes our perspective. It just alters the whole thing. Just alters, and then we have then we get to, so that can end, the cessation. We know that the cessation of the end of suffering is the cessation of desire. It's the cessation of all that. We know that can happen. And then the Eightfold Path, we have a way to get there. We have a way to affect that solution, that cessation. And as Jodashinju Buddhists, not only we know that can end, and we know that there is a path to it, but we know that Amida, like I said earlier, Amida Buddha has already trod that path for us. He's already done for 5 kalpas. Every practice, countless practice you can imagine. So he's done that for us and transfers all that merit to us. So our path is Nembutsu. We don't have to do all the aspects of the Eightfold Path. We just, and we can't take precepts because there aren't any in this age of Mappa for us to take. So we relax about that. Even the layperson stuff, we relax about, and we just realize, okay, there's Amida's done the Eightfold Path for us, and he transfers that merit to us without any effort or any merit on our part. And Amida calls to us through Amida's vow to save all beings, Amida's call, Amida's light, Amida's limitless compassion and wisdom, his mind projected to us, given to us. So we're getting the results of Amida's Eightfold Path. So we can relax about that. And all we do is say the Nembutsu in gratitude, in homage, in I suppose in answering the call. But even the Nembutsu is Amida's call. So we say Nembutsu. That's all there is for us to do. And to at least listen deeply to the Dharma and have Dharma dialogue with a good friend on the path, with a good guide, a good teacher, someone that can act as a good teacher for you on the path, and speak up and do all of that, as Master Renyo says, with your whole heart. I think he says whole heart, mind. You're meant to listen deeply to the Dharma. I think something along that line is something that Renyo said in one of his lectures. Anyway, and Amida clears the barriers. Amida clears all the doubts. answers all the questions ultimately. So we don't have to try to, even in our dialogues, even in asking our questions, even in expressing our doubts, even in making known or facing or experiencing our barriers, we know it's Amida that's going to remove those. We know that it's that's going to be done for us. The questions will be ultimately through the process that he's provided us of Dharma dialogue, of deep listening, is going to answer all those questions, resolve all those doubts, and remove all those barriers for us. So don't have to worry about that. So that's kind of our, I suppose, our equivalent of the solution of the quote-unquote eightfold path. Is our path to it is that. And Amida has been the eightfold path for us. So, I mean, there's just some of those. I don't think I've even scratched the surface of how different our perspective is from everyone else, pretty much in samsaric existence, for just being a Buddhist, like how, and then being a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, it's a whole kind of another level of that difference in perspective. So I think I've sort of covered that as much as I could for now, and I'll just say some Nembutsu to take us out. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. I'm going to just keep saying it for a while. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Okay. Thanks for listening. See you next time.